Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co host Vince. Today, we have a great guest. You know, we like to spotlight military veterans and military spouses. Well, this is the powerhouse in the third arena, and we want to make sure that you guys are well aware of what they're doing. Vince, I'll let you introduce.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to sit down with Moni Jefferson. She is the CEO and co founder of Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, MC, who support our military from day one and beyond. So we're excited. She's from the greater Philadelphia area. Welcome, Moni. Tell us first a little bit about you.
Hey, friends. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Your guys' energy is insane, especially at 10 o'clock in the morning. um, yeah, so I'm actually in New Jersey, which is the greater Philly area, where up here, my spouse is in the Air Force. We're about 20 years in. He's not getting out till they kick him out, he said. So I'm here for a little bit. I am a military spouse. I'm a military kid as well. My dad served in the Army. I have three kids. I'm a serial entrepreneur with my purpose and passion being military spouse entrepreneurship. Absolutely 100%. Let's see, what else? What else do you guys want to know?
Well, I mean, you're giving us a great personal background, and so we'll just go right into the question about
Yeah.
let's AMC. I mean, I've followed you for a while, both you and Flossie. So proud of what
Oh,
you've done and are doing. So just tell us a little bit about AMC.
yeah, absolutely. So we launched AMC, the membership, in November of 2019. Geez, got to get my years right. November 2019. And it is an organization by military spouse entrepreneurs for military spouse entrepreneurs. And our entire goal is to help military spouses start, scale, and sustain their businesses. The way we're doing that is by helping them through economic impact for our nation's military families and helping them really thrive and creating a business that's sustainable through moving and all the curveballs that military life sends you. We have about 1,600 members to date. Um, we have done a lot of different projects. Most of the projects are focused on really just highlighting the spouses and how organizations and people can support and help the spouses and help our organization to further create more impact in their lives as well. We are a subscription based model. So we have a membership that's free, which you get so many amazing benefits. Right? People look at how many things that free members get, they're like, no way. So, yes, we have a free membership and we also have a paid membership. We have so many things in that membership to help the spouses, including master classes, co-working spaces, group coaching. We have a digital platform where they can log on. We know that military spouses are working at all times of days and they're all over the world. So our membership was created before COVID online, which is crazy because people are like, how did your business go? We were like, it went great because we were already online. Like we already knew about Zoom. We didn't get Zoom fatigue. Like this is how we've done business. Both Flossie and I had businesses before AMC. So we get the whole video call, how to workflow with other people and things like that. So um, when COVID hit, our membership skyrocketed because the spouses needed a place to really learn and a resource for them to figure out how to do their business with COVID. So the membership includes, like I said, the digital dashboard where they can access if you're in Japan, if you're in Alaska, no matter what time of day. We also have Build Your Business the AMSU Way curriculum, which is 7 units and 65 modules. It is just phenomenal that we're able to provide resources like this because a lot of times you can get some of these resources online, but there's nowhere to go afterwards, right? You like take a master class or you take a course and then you're like, oh, what's next? Well, there's community. And that's one of the biggest things that we offer here is the really heartfelt community of military spouses doing the same thing you're doing, which is what makes our organization super unique and very, very, it's just priceless, because there are organizations that offer the resources to military spouses to help build their businesses, but they're doing it alongside other spouses. And that's what makes it just so different than other organizations.
This is wonderful. I would like to say that we always, as military members, we also struggle, but the struggling from military spouses being uprooted every 3 to 4 years is substantial. So hearing what you're doing for the spouse community, I applaud you. So do you have to just be a military spouse to be an entrepreneur, or is there other avenues of business? One question is, and holding up, how are you holding up in this current pandemic? I know you said you hit the nail on the head at running, but just curious about what you're doing and all the stuff within that.
Absolutely. So once as we have a saying here at AMC, once a spouse, always a spouse. So you can be an AMC member no matter pay grade, no matter branch of service, no matter whether you're retired, status, whether have an idea. A lot of our spouses just have an idea. They don't even know what starting a business is like. And when they go to these other programs, they're very veteran centered. We love you guys. We love all of those programs, but they're not branded. They're not talking to the military spouse, and they're not careers or businesses that military spouses would naturally be able to navigate while supporting their military member, taking care of home and taking care of kids and their health and, and wellness. So yes, any spouse can join ideation, whether you're scaling your business. We have great partnerships with organizations that can help you with venture capital and pitching, and if you're looking for investment options and ideas and things like that. So we have partners that really help with that, but 90% of our members are in the starting stage. So they have an idea, or they're probably already working in their business, but they don't have a lot of systems, processes, and things set up. They're just in the execution mode. They don't have like everything to create an established business done. So that's where we come in, and we encourage them, give them the confidence and the tools and the strategies to really implement those things. AMC itself has been doing great. COVID came, and we're like, okay, what's the big deal? Because, everybody's freaking out. They had to do everything online. We're like, wait a minute. Slack is not new. Zoom is not new. All these workflows are not new. We've been using them for years as entrepreneurs before we launched AMC. So it wasn't really new for us, but it was new to a lot of our spouses. And a lot of people had to learn to sell online. And so we did create like a COVID resource for them. We made sure we brought in partners to host master classes that taught them how to do certain things and learn different techniques on how to sell online. It did affect some of our partnerships and sponsorships because everybody was holding on to their money, and we are a for-profit social impact organization. So we, rely on the sponsorships to help us, continue our efforts. But for the most part, we did well. I mean, we were able to grow our membership, grow our organization, and leverage partnerships during these times where they realize, well, we need to be a part of what AMC is doing because they're online and they're serving in such a massive way than the organizations that are kind of on, in buildings. So it was a really great, it was a good experience for us to go through. And I think we were set up pretty good.
And I'm so happy that you happen to have the background on the virtual scene prior to the pandemic coming, because Vince and I, we hear the stories uh, as we do these interviews of those that were ready, those that could have been ready, and those that weren't ready, right? And it seems like you were at the front end of that. So congratulations for that. I mentioned that I followed you and Flossie and all the things that you've done. I've seen the growth myself. So what are your vision? What's your vision for the future of AMC? And what do you have in store for the future?
So, when I first started my first business 7 years ago, Dog Tags and Heels, a PR and social media organization company. I really struggled. Like I went through a lot of learning and I learned the hard way. I had an expensive website. I had this, had to learn how to do everything as I was moving. And, the thing I noticed was we need to have more resources at our fingertips, the way that other, like mental health, career development, those resources, entrepreneurship and small business resources should also be available for military spouses. And one of the things when I started in Maryland and I went to the base and I was like, hi, I'm starting a business. How can you support me? They were like, you can write a resume, you can apply for a government job. And I was like, I just said I'm starting a business. Do you have something that can support me? Do you have a list of organizations that are networking groups, women networking groups, information about the local chamber, a contact? Is there anything? Nothing. And I really left there. I remember that day just feeling like super deflated and like, this is what I get. Like as a military spouse, like I'm only good to like support the member and come up here and get a resume build and then apply for a government job at USA Jobs. And it was just really discouraging. I did try it. It was a very tedious process for me as a military spouse. I don't have a lot of the skills that are required to get some of these government jobs. And the reason I'm sharing this is because my goal, our vision, our end game for AMC is to be on the bases at every family and fleet center. When you walk in and you say, hi, I just moved here, I want to start a business, or I want to build a career, you have two options. It's not just one option and shove you into that box, right? So the goal is to have AMC at every installation across in the world. Spouses deserve to know every resource that's applicable to them. A lot of spouses are leaving home, leaving careers, leaving educational backgrounds to help and support their military members. So it's so important to have this option at the forefront, and then to have an option that is viable for them to attain, not what other organizations think we can attain. So that's the end game right there. Like that is the legacy that we intend to leave behind. Like that is my heart. Like that's really, that feeling, I never want a spouse to feel like that. And I know that there's spouses that feel like that all the time. Right now, we're currently working on just rebuilding and creating a more seamless membership experience. We built our MVP, literally scotch taped it together with multiple programs. There's a lot of back end work that we're doing on the day to day that takes up a lot of time from us being able to really fulfill other obligations to help scale this organization. So we have a new membership coming out, which will allow the spouses to really have a seamless experience. So we're excited about that. And, we're just looking to reach more spaces and places and launching new chapters. So the chapters are going to be rolling out this month. We have 5 new chapters rolling out, one in Japan, another one in England later this year. So we're really excited about, these champions of AMC who are like, you're so right. I felt like that. I want to help lead. I want to do this. You can't do anything alone. Like you can have an idea, but and like Flossie and I had this idea and, we're not doing it alone. It's the people. So we are expanding this year and we're really focused on fundraising efforts to be able to continue to expand.
Well, no, first I want to say, you guys, I think the slogan should be "No spouse left behind," because I think that right there, it is what it is, because it's true. When we, as retired military, we come into the base or to the post and we get briefings, and then, hey, here's some resources you can give to your spouse, right? But you're providing a holistic view because it does impact the mental health of either or. So I commend you, and I am voting for them to put it on every post and base and fleet. So great job there, and great vision to changing the narrative and not being deflated and being inflated to this great organization of AMC. So let's transition quickly, talk about you, the brain, the heart behind AMC and your endeavors. So professional leadership and development itself. So what professional development areas do you work on to improve your capabilities as a leader?
Oh man, these are um this is a really great question. And I think before AMC, I would have never really thought about this because I just do it. I feel I'm a natural born leader. I lead with my heart. And there are a lot of things that I've had to learn leading, thousands of spouses, so in my space, not just in AMC, but also just in my own network and community. And so one of the things I've really been focused on, especially this year, is being mindful of where I'm sitting, and then the opportunities that affect those that I can support. So um, bringing opportunities to spouses in our space that normally they would not have if it wasn't for the networking opportunity. I also am being super mindful of trying to read more about myself and how I lead. Because I think a lot of times we're thinking, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm like, I'm a leader. I got to be this. I got to be that. I got to be this. I got to be that. And the thing is, you really have to figure out what type of leader you want to be, and then how you can really transfer that to your team. Because I think if you're a leader who's always anxious or always stressed or demanding, you have a team that's fearful. If you have a leader who's like, yeah, that email went out, don't worry about it. I screwed up on that email. I've sent out an email with the wrong word or the wrong link. Girlfriend, don't worry about it. I think that's really important when you're a leader, to show those vulnerable moments, to say like, hey, I made that mistake too, or, ooh, yeah, that was my bad. I approve that. That person did it. That's my fault. Um, I'm really big on accepting responsibility, but I'm also really big on just really trying to read and learn more of how to transfer that over to my team, because I think when you do that, it creates other leaders in their areas. Um, so I mean, I hope I answered your question. I don't know if that's what you guys were looking for. I'm just really working on a lot of that. So I feel like I feel it's my responsibility to figure out how I want to continue to lead the people that are already following me. Because I saw myself as a leader, but not like a, in the sense that I am now, if that makes any sense.
Well, I tell you, I love how that Spanglish came out. It made me
Oh,
feel right at home. But hey, look, and you mentioned this, Vince and I, when we started this whole program, we started with a survey. The very
hmm,
first and the most pronounced, uh, uh, basically, the folks screaming and yelling that they wanted leaders to do is listen. And so it sounds like you are listening to not only yourself, which is the most important thing, listening to yourself and figuring out you before you give out to others, but you're also listening out for your people, what they need,
yeah,
and what they're looking for, and that is wonderful. So I commend you on that, and I encourage you to continue to read, because both Vince and I know that that is the key to getting those nuggets that you wouldn't
yeah,
throughout your life without having some conversations. So
yeah.
as you, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think I love what you said, because I say that all the time when we create content. Like, you cannot create what you think the people want. You have to create what the people are telling you they need. Right? You can have all the ideas in the world and you can think you're serving, but if you're not really making a deep rooted impact, then what's the point of saying you're a leader or creating stuff that you're not, um, that's not helping people? The other thing is too, I think being a leader doesn't always mean you have to, it's really hard, I think, sometimes as a leader. Sometimes you have to make operational decisions that might hurt people's feelings. Sometimes you have to make decisions that are a little firm than normal. But I think when you really connect with the people you lead and you tell them like this is why we're making these decisions and you're transparent and honest, I think there's a level of respect that comes with that. Like, let's talk about budget. Hi, so sorry, we are over budget this month, we're going to have to push pause till next month. And I think that really takes some guts to tell somebody like, hey, we might not be able to move forward on this project or this right now. Let's reconnect next month. And I think that also, even though it is people, you have to protect and you have to lead appropriately. And so I really love what you said about, listening to the people and then, leading when it's hard. Sometimes leading when it's hard is an obstacle to overcome, but then to still keep an open relationship and it be positive is I think that takes a lot.
Absolutely, and I love that as well. Now you share some nuggets there for emerging leaders. I was just about to ask you about folks that are coming up, because you are addressing a need to people who are just coming up in business and entrepreneurship. So what have you learned as you was coming up to the position you're on in right now that you could share with those that are coming up as well?
Oh, this is a really good question. So number one, I would say to listen to the people you're trying to lead, which what I just talked about a second ago, because you can create, like, let's just say example, you want to create a course or like a membership or anything. It could be the greatest idea ever, but if it's not serving the people that is your audience, there's no reason for it. I would also say like leadership also comes with its times of solace and quietness. I think that you have to really turn internally and look at things within yourself that need to be changed and recognize some things that are not the best way to handle things or the best attributes or ways to make those things better. So I think a lot of internal work. And I also say surround yourself with mentors or people that you admire or you love what they're doing and reach out to them, because that is honestly, I have so many mentors in my life that I can just text them and say, this is what's going on. Do you have 10 minutes? And they'll hop on a 10-minute call with me, even on the weekend, you guys, and just really guide me because they know that I have some really, important decisions to make or things that are heavy on my heart as a leader. You have um, to recognize. So I think internal work, lots of mentorship, people around you that can really not give you the what you always want to hear, right? But really what is other people's perspectives.
No, that's great. And I guess I'm a guy with quotes, and it seems like what this whole journey is what Socrates says, know thyself, because, right, you are now entering a phase that, okay, I'm impacting thousands and millions of families. So it's important to know thyself. I totally agree. And you also mentioned leading when it's hard, what talks about now we transition to these challenges because we all face them. And that's really the when we're off the bat when it's hard. So how do you face challenges or that you're currently facing? What do you do?
Um, well, this is a great question because I went through this journey last week. And the first thing I do is I pray. I don't know, I'm a believer. I'm a big believer in faith. I walk in the dark even if there's no lightness because I know there's a light for me that guides me that I don't need to see. So for me, I turn to scripture and I turn to my spiritual circle of community to cover me in whatever I need covering. And then I really sit down and I write things down. Like, what are the pros? What are the cons? What are the outcomes? Who is this going to affect? What is the bottom line? All of these things I try to figure out from all sides how to make the best decision, even though some people may be hurt by it. And sometimes my feelings have to be put aside as well, and not to say that I've always made the best decisions, but I've made a decision. And I think too, as a leader, you have to stand by your decision and maybe say like, hey, that wasn't the best decision, but I made it under these circumstances for these reasons. And you take it as a lesson learned, right? So yeah, it's tough.
Well, and it is tough. Challenges, however they may appear in your life, uh, are not meant to, completely obliterate you. There's an opportunity to go ahead and surpass the challenge. And so I agree with your methodology there because that's one that I subscribe to. So good for you in terms of, and good for your group, your community, because it really is where you draw your strength. And obviously it is working. So when we look at challenges, there also are avenues for change. And we've seen change worldwide for the last year and a half almost already, right? And how time flies. But how do you deal with change, and how do you strategize around that?
This is such a good question. Change is ever evolving as a business owner. Um, we deal with change strategically because we have a community to lead. So we try to not make any rash decisions that's going to affect the community in a larger way. We really strategize with long-term growth in perspective, right? So we're thinking about how is this going to affect our community? How is this going to affect us in 4 weeks, in 6 weeks, in 12 weeks? I think when you are going through change, it is okay to realize that things have to change. Because I think we get stuck in the mindset that, oh my gosh, things have got to change. And you get stressed out that it might not be that now you have to do it, you have to create another strategy, or this is not what you envisioned, right? You're already as a leader, like, this is not what I envisioned, this is not what I wanted, and now it's got to change. Well, sometimes when you're growing, there's change and there's things that you don't even realize that are being done for you that's going to come, this you have to change to get there. And sometimes you just have to say, this did not work, we're going to trash it up, chop it up, that's it, let's move on. And it's okay. Change is good. Change is growth. Change is experimenting with new things. It's just like if you have a product or service and you offer a service and you've been doing it for 6 months and you're like, man, I really hate this. Trash it. Trash it and do something you love. If the idea is not working, it's okay to change. Change is good. It can be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely amazing indeed, because it's optional for growth and it's up to you to make that choice. So I hear you loud and clear. Folks out there, if you have heard this episode and you have a spouse or are a spouse, please know that no spouse will be left behind in MC. And for those listening, how do they contact you or MC?
Yeah, so it's super easy, amc.co. And our social handles are AMC Agency on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also email us at hello@amc.co if you have any questions.
Outstanding. And we're going to have that information, folks, as part of the video, as part of the show notes, so you can contact AMC at will. Moni, thank you so much for sharing your morning with us, sharing this great business, because as veterans, Vince and I know that our spouses have had to go over some immense hurdles that we would never have to. As he mentioned earlier, we come into the base and we have briefs. Everything's packaged. We're ready to roll. And the spouse is not, right? And so unless you had a very active spouse that can co-brief and or post-brief that military spouse and give them all that information, it's still not for them, right? So your program, your community, your company is addressing a pain point that's been there for ages, and we're so happy that you have come this way. folks, if you want to reach out to us, the Leadership Void podcast, the Leadership Void at gmail.com is our email. If you want to see other guests on the show, if you want to reply to us about this show, go ahead. We would love to see your comments, your suggestions, and you can send us anything there that deals with leadership development, and we will address it. But once again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And you guys give me things to think about. So it's always really great to come on podcasts and share some insight. And I hope that it helps somebody out there.
We do as well. Hope it helps a spouse, a military asset that is changing the future, because a lot of us are in service before self. So thank you. And I just want to say for this weekend, happy Mother's Day to you and every other spouse out there and military member that are moms. We love you. If it wasn't for you, we all would not be here, and for your caring and honesty and tenderness. So thank you for being that support worldwide and holistically. So first and foremost, thank you. Moni was here, the founder, co-founder and CEO of AMC. We thank you. And next week, if you're a foodie and like food, you're in for a treat. Next week, our guest has a lot of great things to talk about with food. So please tune in next Wednesday. But for today, Moni, we thank you. Have a great afternoon and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Bye, guys.